Hey, what's up? Exit the Matrix. Bob here. Hope you all are having a good day or good morning when you see this. Just cutting a video on my way to work, and today I just wanted to do a video on America, basically following in the footsteps of Rome in its the end of its empire. And we are seeing in real time the U.S. empire crumble right now. And there's a lot of similarities between the two empires. The biggest difference, I would say, though, is that Rome lasted for a hell of a lot longer than the U.S. empire. And it's unfortunate, honestly, that I'm even calling the U.S. an empire, because America was never founded to be an empire. It was actually founded to be a nation that kept to itself. You know, that was more worried about its own self than it was about foreign nations and foreign wars. Oh, sure, there were some of the early politicians, you know, even a couple of the founding fathers that were always worried about wars going on in Europe and such, and if we should get involved in it or not. But for the most part, the United States was an isolationist country. You know, we did some trading with other nations and everything, but after breaking away from the British Empire, I think most Americans didn't have anything to do with that, you know, with empire building and tyrannical empire rule and stuff. And but typical with any nation, as a nation grows strong and a nation finds good times, prosperity, strength, might, expansion of territory, strong currency, that's always the beginning of the end right there. Because people get weak, people get bored, the country starts to get decrepit, morally and financially, and that's when it all starts going bad. People, instead of protecting the nation and continuing to make it stronger and more prosperous, they become greedy, and they start just trying to figure out how to get the biggest piece of the pie they can. And the banking gets more predatory, which, I mean, obviously the Federal Reserve has always been a predator since the time it was founded in the United States. It's an international banking cartel. It is not a U.S. bank. It's in name only, not in actuality. It's all tied back to the City of London, to the Rothschild banking, world central banking system, the Babylonian debt money system. I mean, it's all a joke. You know, at first, you know, it brought prosperity, but then here's the thing: every dollar you print, you add on an interest to that. So from that point on, a nation is in a position where it can never pay off its national debt. It can try to hold it and contain it as much as possible, but eventually it's the compound effect. It's as simple as that, essentially. And then you start, you know, trading in derivatives and fractal banking, where you allow banks to basically, you know, with 10% of the money in bank, say that, you know, loan out 100% to that. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, loan out 90% of no money, but pretend you have money when you only got 10% of a money sitting in your bank. That's been going on for a while, and that's how they get these small banks shut down, because they just, as soon as interest rates go up on bonds and stuff, these little banks are like buried in these derivatives and stuff and this fractal banking, and all of a sudden they can't pay out their customers. They don't have enough money to cover their deposits, and they don't get bailouts, but they get bought up by the bigger banks that get the bailouts. So I mean, that's absolute corporate fascism at its finest, and that's absolute that's the group that runs the international banking. They're scumbags, and they're thieves, and they're liars, and their system reflects that. And they trade fake money, debt paper that's worth nothing, for real assets, silver and gold and platinum and food stores and lumber and land, most importantly. And these banks have been doing this for a long time. And Rome was also going through a devaluation of its currency. Also, Rome was so spread out around the world. Their military, they were fighting skirmishes all over the world. Their military was bleeding the nation dry. They weren't winning as many battles as they used to. The Goths and the Huns were pushing them back. We're starting to take over territory and overrun towns, pillaging constantly. The Romans, since their money was actually minted, they would clip off pieces of the silver and stuff, and that's how they would devalue their money. The dollar, it's just paper, it's nothing. I mean, at least the Romans actually had coinage, but they were doing stuff to devalue their coins too, because it wasn't worth as much, and pretty much going through the exact same thing we are, banking wise. I mean, every nation on earth has implemented this central banking system at one time or another, and as soon as they do, it's people are greedy. The psychopaths that run these nations are greedy, and they do what they do. They rob the common folk. They give you less currency for more labor. And then there's always a tipping point where people eventually fight back and revolt, because I mean, if you're working your ass off and you can't even put food on your table, and all your kids are dying in foreign wars that have nothing to do with where you live, you have no interest in those foreign wars. You don't care about some outpost in the middle of fucking Mongolia or something getting overran. So, the Romans, they got tired of that BS, the common man. But the ruling elite, that's how they launder money. That's how they get rich, is stealing from other lands, pillaging other lands, taxing other people in foreign lands. And of course, the U.S., we may not be taxing people in other countries that we have all of our bases in, but we're still in their oil, we're still in their gold, their opium. Oh, the U.S. loves the drug trade. The U.S. runs the drug trade. I mean, our troops in Afghanistan, a lot of them were put on guard duty of the opium fields to keep the Taliban from burning the opium fields down. Stuff like that makes you start questioning who's the good guys and who's the bad guys, right? I mean, we're always told we're the good guys. I'm sure the Roman citizens were always told, hey, Rome is the greatest empire. We bring, stability and peace to the world. and prosperity, and ours is a righteous and, you know, and a justful like war, you know, and expansion, and we're bringing these barbarians, you know, civilization. The thing is, though, those so-called barbarians were probably living in peaceful valleys and the Caucasus Mountains and other places, just raising their families and farming and raising their animals and you know, living, experiencing human life. And these assholes come riding in their shining fucking armor and start pillaging their villages and killing the men, raping the women, taking the children for slaves. I mean, this has been going on for a long time. Then they set up an outpost, have troops there, and then they start taxing the local people. And if they don't pay, they kill them. Taking their resources, making them send back most of their meat and produce back to Rome, right? So that the Romans in the big cities in Rome, they could just, you know, live high off the hog and think everything's fantastic, not knowing that they're stealing others' energy. And that's what this is. It's all energy. It's all about energy. That's what currency means, dude. Currency is, it's the flow of money, which is the flow of energy. You work for money. You put your energy in there, and that's your payback. And that's what you use to, you know, replenish your energy with food and shelter. And these people are energy vampires. I mean, that's essentially what they are. I mean, we know, let's be real, we know that they are into other stuff too, you know. We're not going to go into that because a lot of these platforms and, you know, tech companies don't like the truth, because they're usually some of their puppets that run their corps are involved in a lot of that stuff. So we're not going to go into it, but you get what I'm saying here. But Rome was just, I mean, they were just always at war all the time. I mean, look at the U.S. We're always in foreign wars all the time. And just tell me honestly, I mean, yeah, we had the whole shadow of like the whole BS about, oh, Russia's gonna take over the world if we don't, you know, stop them here and there. And I mean, we're in pitched battles in shithole countries like, you know, Vietnam and stuff. I mean, my God. How's that going to overthrow the world order? I mean, give me a break. You know, how many of our uncles and dads or, you know, grandparents or granddads, you know, were in that war? I mean, we had, and it was all from a set up with a false flag, the Gulf of Tonkin. We didn't need to be in there. But that older generation, you know, they were so brainwashed by the media because they didn't have the internet. They didn't have... the only news they got was what they listened to on their radios and their TVs. And I hate to tell you, but the boomer generation, the baby boomers, the most, I mean, absolute propagandized generation ever. I mean, they, to this day, these people, like, they're the ones that, like, back somebody like Nikki Scaley. I mean, the woman's a psychopath. I mean, how do you not know that? I mean, I think she got called out, rightly so, on the debate stage when it was like the person made a point that it's like, look, every time you open your mouth up here, I don't hear one single thing about what you're going to do to make America better. It's always about what war you want to start, or who we got to go fight for, or who we got to give money for them to fight. I mean, she's honestly a typical psychopath. She is the exact type that would have been a senator in Rome that would have kept pushing Rome to go invade the Goths and Huns and push further into Germany and into Britain, and to, you know, to try to bring all of Europe under their heel when nobody wanted them. The Gauls didn't want them. The Huns and Goths didn't want them. I mean, nobody wanted their empire. But that's America for you. you know? And we're all told, we're supposed to be so proud of this nation. I mean, look, I care about the American citizens. I love my country, but I love my country as far as, like, this is my homeland. This is where generations of, my family has grown up and helped build this country. I hate my government. It's an evil, corrupt government. Our religions are evil and corrupt. The banking is evil and corrupt. The corporations are evil and corrupt. The people are the only good, for the most part. Yes, many people have gotten brainwashed, and they've gotten manipulated, and they've degenerated as much as the country has. That's obvious, But still, I mean, essentially, they're my brothers and sisters, from the spirit realm. I mean, even all the people around the world are. Do I want to kill my brothers and sisters in Iran? Do I want, the Syrians killed? Do I want, people all around the world murdered, with my country backing it? No, I don't. There aren't any justifiable moral wars going on. It's all for money laundering. It's all to try to hold together and patch up a crumbling empire that is the United States. And it's where we are right now. But going back to that, to the whole boomer thing. I'm not saying all baby boomers are asleep, but I mean, my gosh, I mean, these people are the ones that were the big Bushites, voting for Bush. And I'll talk to some of these people, and they still think Bush was one of the best presidents we ever had. I mean, I'm not going to say 9/11. I'm not going to say anything else about it. But, come on, people. Let's wake up, man. I mean, you should be, when you're in your 50s and 60s, 70s, my God, you think you've gained some wisdom over the years? You still haven't figured out that you've been lied to your whole life? You still haven't figured out that you are being propagandized to believe that American wars are just? You still believe we have a real money system? You still believe the Federal Reserve is American? I mean, you still believe that there's certain countries around the world here that are dictating our policies, that you back them because your religion tells you to, because you're under some weird false impression that these people are some chosen people, and you're championing them because your pastor told you. And you sit in a pew every Sunday. You've never actually studied the Bible, so you wouldn't know that the Old Testament God is the devil. It's quite obvious. No, you've listened to 2-Verse Charlie up there every week, and Pastor Dan sitting there picking and choosing 1 or 2 verses that the World Council of Churches is telling him he has to teach. And he's feeding you milk of the word BS. Telling you how it helps his life and what it's done for him. And just give your tithing. Put your money in the pan. God has a place for you in heaven as long as you give us money. Pastor Dan needs a new BMW, and he needs to put a new roof on his house. Yeah, he's living up on that big house on the hill while you're living in a dump, barely making your rent, as your money devalues to nothing. As all your work and currency buys you less and less and less. But Pastor Dan can send his kids to college. Oh yeah. Pastor Dan doesn't have problems if he needs new tires on his car. No, he's set, man, because you dummies give him money. The priest class has always worked hand in hand with the government class, the ruling class. Don't you understand? They're part of the same group. They are the same. One lies to you spiritually, and the other one just robs you of your work and your wealth and everything else. And that's the truth. But America's being overrun. We have literally a president that has opened the borders up on purpose. In fact, he's actually going to court to keep the borders open. Think about that. I mean, damn, I don't even know if the Caesar in Rome was purposely letting the Goths and Huns invade the borders. I think he was at least trying to stop that. I mean, they were skirmishing with the Goths and Huns for a long time. But eventually the Romans did allow the Goths and Huns to settle and have their own semi-autonomous land within Roman land. But that was just letting, guess what? The enemies within the gates, right? But we all know that the UN is behind the border thing and all that, and we all know that they're trying to quicken the destruction and the fall of America, because you can't bring in a world government, a one world government, without the most powerful nations on earth being destroyed. Why do you think they're going so hard on Russia? They want to destroy Russia, they want to destroy China and America, because if you could take down the three big boys, then guess what? Now it's ready for old Uncle Klaus and his sidekick Uvari, the most despicable anti-human piece of trash the earth has ever seen, to dictate their world government on everybody. And all of a sudden you wake up one day and guess what? It don't matter if you have money or not, because let's just say they don't want you around, and they're going to handle that however they must. And the few that are left are going to be serfs. You're going to be forced to take their poisons. They're going to make sure that you are sterile, and they're going to dictate how many babies are born, and they're going to be all genetically modified. I mean, these people are absolutely sick, but nobody is waking up. I mean, they're still believing that America is that America's still doing good. People, you do not understand. The dollar is about to collapse. The nation is being overrun. It's Rome is fallen. We are in the decline, and all of our leaders are corrupt, our courts are corrupt, our education system is an indoctrination programming system that teaches the youth to further, they want this country destroyed. I mean, all I've been saying about the United States empire and how corrupt and everything is, yes, I hate the empire, but I still don't want to see my country fall into complete ruin. I want this country to be prosperous under a debt-free money system. I want this country to be safe and secure under controlled, closed borders with controlled immigration like it should be. You decide who comes in and who comes out. I want a strong military, but only for absolute protection. Not for starting wars in foreign countries. I don't want it for that. And sorry, I had to back my car in here. But we're watching the collapse, people. And I hate to tell you, but I don't think there's any politicians that are going to get us out of this. The only thing that could get us out of this, honestly, at this point, is for Americans to wake up, band together. I don't care left, right, what religion, what political views you got. You got to understand that this could be a survival. And we got to learn to work together. We got to throw these bums out. We got to, I don't know what we got to do. Convention of states and strengthen the Constitution and get rid of anything that doesn't line up with our Constitution. And I don't know if I see that happening, because we have politicians that want to see the collapse. And right now they're just looting and robbing and pillaging the United States as fast as they can so that they can, get out of this, they hope, with a bunker bill and a bunch of, they'll turn their money into like silver and gold. They're not going to hold on to the dollar. And they're just looking out for themselves, man. I mean, these people are sick. I really want to talk about this more, but I'm already at work. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though. Is America Rome in its collapse state? Is there a way we can get out of this? Can we pull out of this? And will Americans ever awaken enough of us that they can even see the truth for what it is? But anyways, I appreciate you guys. Have a good day.